We got back on track with the fight card in Poland. I didn't really cover the fights in Poland, but I saw them last minute and I bet on them and I hit there. So give me 1 second. Yeah, it was an 8-leg. It was an 8-leg a fight card in Poland. It was only paying $1.79, but it got us back on the winning track. What's up, GOAT? And so what I'm going to do, it's something I never talk about on these live streams with the betting. I'm going to be as transparent as possible right now to give you kind of my system on how I run my sports bet with the money. I already told you guys, have some sort of boundaries. Give yourself a number. Like one of my buddies in Vegas when I lived there, he always said, this is when I was a blackjack player. He was always like, if it could pay a bill, cash out. So that's kind of like what I do with my sports bet account. When I get to 500, I cash out because I've burned myself in the past. I've had it over a couple thousand and I've rolled the dice on a 2-to-1 and then you lose and you're like, fuck, I should have just took the 500. Anyway, on that 8-leg that I hit in Poland, it was $1.62. So it was 100 to win 62. So what I'm doing is I'm keeping that in my account and I'm going heavy on the fights in Japan. And I'm going to talk about that fight. I broke it down. What's up, Said? I don't even think we were able to bet on those fights. Yeah, go. Those fights came to me last second. It's kind of like some of the boys in the group were talking about. There was another. I guess there were 2 fight cards in Poland. They were talking about, I think, Sabalski. I wasn't able to fight on. I wasn't able to bet on that fight. The fights that I were able to bet on was Lucas Dekis. Go to BoxRec, guys. There's a welterweight from Czechoslovakia. He's in the top 30 in the world. His name's Lucas Dekis. He won by knockout. It was that fight card that I picked the favorites and then picked Dekis to win by stoppage, and we got some good numbers. Yeah, so I don't even think Rakiishi scares me. He could fight. Yeah, T-Rich. He definitely can fight. When it comes down to betting where you're going to put your money, I broke this video down. I uploaded it about an hour ago. If you guys have already seen it, you'll know that my money is going on Nunez. And it's not. It all comes down to the styles. It comes down to how they fight. So I'm just if you take the last 52 fights in terms of me breaking down on my channel, I've hit on the money line 51 of them. We lost the Josh Taylor fight. You can't win them all. Okay, I referenced that with my opinion on Nunez versus Rakiishi based on the same system that I use. Their styles, where their holes are in their game, and I talked about that in my video. That leads me to lean with Nunez. When you think about Rakiishi, he's a southpaw. He has knockout power as well. He's a good counter boxer. He's gonna have the speed advantage in terms of countering. But when you look at Nunez, 27 wins, 27 knockouts, orthodox fighter. He wants to get in your wheelhouse. Rakiishi isn't comfortable in the wheelhouse. All the tape I've seen on him, he doesn't really like infighting too much, and this is a strength of Nunez. So when I think about that, also watch your film study on Rakiishi when he exits the pocket. Something that I see he has a tell when he's exiting the pocket, he keeps his chin here. A lot of taller fighters do that. We talk about that all the time, but he doesn't angle off. He stays on that straight line exiting, and I think that's going to play straight into Nunez's style, shorter, throwing bombs. I think he's going to find that gap, and I'm very comfortable with Nunez beating Rakiishi. The biggest question I have is he going to stop him? So I'm doing 2 separate parlays, guys. I'm doing I already have my money on it, and I'll post this in the group. On the money line, I'm taking Takai and Rakiishi. I think my bad, Takai and Nunez. And the odds right now, the odds that I got. Give me 1 second, pending. I got it at $1.70. So on the money line, and I made this bet last night. I took Nunez and Takai to just win $1.70. So 1,000 gets you 700, 100 gets you 70, whatever you want to see. So that bet is already in. I'm comfortable with both guys. 2 world title fights. Takai, his fight should be a lot easier. I think Nunez will be tested. I just think his style, his output, his power is going to be too much. Also, like I said, where his strengths are, Nunez is a guy who wants to knock you out late. He's a guy who wants to wear on you and then drowns you with that volume and that power. And I think with him being a little bit shorter, having the smaller reach, where he likes to fight in the phone booth, and Rikishi will probably fight him in the phone booth just because of that Japanese warrior spirit. I think all that plays into Nunez. So I'm very comfortable. I'm going heavy on the money line. It's only about $1.70. Now, on a separate bet that I'm gonna drip into the weekend with all the weekend fights. We got Caleb Plant fighting Resendez, Carmel Mountain's on that card, Jamal Charlo's on that card, and there's other fight cards. I'm gonna take Nunez to stop Rakiishi as well, but that's gonna be on a separate bet. Just like I told you guys, I don't really like combining money lines and stoppages on one parlay. I'll do a stoppage parlay and keep them separate, and that's what works for me. Guys, I don't even think we were able to bet on those fights. Rakiishi scares me. Can you live bet in Australia? T. Rich, I'm learning about live betting right now over the last month from the live streams. I haven't tested it out. I haven't tested watching a fight out in real time. I'll do that Wednesday, and I'll let you know. I'll do that during the Nunez fight. I'm going to get the tape probably tomorrow. What you think about Khalil Ko versus Gilligos rematch? Odds almost a pick 'em. I like Ko. A lot of people like Ko in that rematch. I don't really... The odds I'm getting on that fight right now aren't really too convincing for me to put on a parlay. They have Ko as a big favorite, even though he lost. New to boxing betting, is there any value on money line side here between... Yeah, LP, a lot of value on the money line side. You're not quite 2-1, but right now 100. He's $1. I got him at $1.54. He's $1.51 right now, Nunez, which halves your money. You get 100 on it, you get 51 back. I'm confident Nunez to win too, not playing method though. Exactly, Will. And like you guys learning how I like to bet. If I ever play the method, it's separate, but it's not. I'm not. That's not anything I tell you guys to do. I'm always convinced with my money line picks. You guys come to the channel, you'll know that I'm accurate on the money lines. Guys, wherever you are, could you like this video? Wherever you're tuning in, let me know where you're streaming from. Let me know where you're watching this from. How you guys did this weekend. We lost one fight. We lost the Taylor fight, but we won money on the Hollywood card, and I won money on the Poland card. So I'm up. I'm up big in the last month. 51 out of my last 52 money line picks. So if you have questions on money line picks, I'm your guy. It's right where I'm comfortable at. And, I appreciate you guys tuning in. It's another big week of boxing. If you haven't caught my breakdown analysis and prediction of Sugar versus Rikishi, I just uploaded it to the channel about an hour ago, so you can watch that breakdown in detail. It's a film study. Your right hand fight call, your right hard fight to call. I agree, absolutely. For us, DraftKings Ko is so good odds for us in this one. Yeah, Nunez has a 100% knockout rate. Exactly. That's why he's the fun pick. 27-1, 27 knockouts. Israel, you mix that knockout to win ratio with his fight style. Like I said, look over his last 10. I think he's had 17 knockouts in a row. But look over his last 10 when he gets those stoppages. 9th round, 10th round. He gets them late. And it's because of that style. And this is where I think this matchup plays in to his favor against Rakiishi. It's good to see also Sugar Nunez get an opportunity at a world title. He was supposed to fight Kakachi. That fight was supposed to take place. Kakachi vacated. That's why the IBF is on the line right now, because Kakachi chose to fight for more money against Lee Wood. We know he beat Lee Wood. We covered that fight, and we won money on that fight as well. I won huge this week on Nathaniel Collins. I called that fight. A lot of you guys weren't agreeing with me. A lot of you guys liked McGregor. But I picked Nathaniel Collins on a separate ticket, and he got the stoppage. So that paid nicely. And regarding this weight class as well, we have to remember the champions at 130. You got Oshaki Foster, you got Lamont Roach, and you got Emmanuel Navarrete. So the winner of this, Nunez or Rikiishi, puts themselves atop of that list. And I just think with Nunez's fan-friendly style, how he goes about his business, at only 27 years old, nobody talks about him. I think this kid could be a star in that division, mate. Like his fight style, he gets the country of Mexico backing him. There's some fun fights to make. If he leaves Japan the champion, he goes into America and faces some of those champions, like either a Lamont. Lamont said he's going to stay at 35. We'll see after the Tank fight. But Oshaki Foster, he's a mover. Lamont's a mover. You get a brawler, slugger, knockout artist like Sugar Nunez at 130. This guy's marketable. He's exciting. I think he does a lot of things better than other fighters in that division. I'm up on it. He has a little bit of defensive holes, but it's that style. Yeah, Nunez knockout rate is against bums, but Rambler, it's what we always talk about. You can only beat who they put in front of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you remember when Berlanga, I think Berlanga started 16-0, 16 first-round knockouts. Everybody was up on Berlanga, and then as he started, getting higher and higher up on competition, you started seeing why that matters. So Rambler, you do, present a good point. But the Shavkat, his last victory over Shavkat, which for some reason isn't on BoxRec, is his best victory, and that's propelled him into this world title shot. Sub, good info, LP. I appreciate you guys wherever you are. Like this video. I like your feedback as well. I learned just as much as from you guys as you learned from me. So I appreciate the support. We got a big week of boxing. Let me know where you're putting your money at. 2 world titles Wednesday in Tokyo, or Wednesday in it's not in Tokyo. It's in Japan. I think it's in It's in Yokohama. My bad. But you got Takai's fighting Tangda, and you got Nunez fighting Rakiishi. A lot of people were torn on the Sugar Nunez fight because of Rakiishi. 16-0, 11 knockouts. He's a slick southpaw. The fight's in Japan. I'd like to see what the props fight go the distance, because that's another prop that I like. Will it go the distance? I mean, 2 knockout artists. If you're getting money on the no, I think that's worth it. From the UK, semi-high roller and MMA betting, trying to learn the boxing game. LP, MMA, man, I covered that sport for a long time. So if you have any questions about MMA, feel free. I've done a documentary on bare knuckle boxing out of Myanmar called Lethway. So, and I've been covering MMA for a long time. I've never heard of a fight being on BoxRec. Go to BoxRec. Check that. It's just not there. If you go to Sugar Nunez's recent victories, you don't see the Shavkat fight. His Rakhmov, his best victory, not there. Nunez to win between rounds 7 and 12 plus 250. Love that, Israel Torres. If you could take that bet based off of statistics, right? We're not just guessing. We're not picking emotional favorites. We're not dick riding anybody, and this isn't a boxing fanboy channel. That bet, Israel, 7 to 12 based on statistics, looking at Nunez's last 10 knockouts, his volume is stout. He gets you out of there late. And so if you like him to win, if you like him to stop Rakiishi, I like that bet. 7 to 12 plus 250. Come on, mate. That's great. For us not to go the distance, $1.86. You know what I mean? See, that's a great bet. There's money here in Japan right now. And I'm only getting the 2 fights. Let me know if your book is showing you the other fights. But yeah, I just have the main and the co-main right now. And as we speak, money is coming back on Tongdi. So if you would have taken Takai, he was at $1.07. He's at $1.10 right now. Wherever you guys are, remember to like this video. I keep saying that because it boosts up in the algorithm, and sometimes the videos get seen with the subscribers and not to new people. But we're growing because you guys support the channel. Israel Torres, hell yeah, I appreciate your channel. I appreciate you too. What's up, Don Holio? Hope everyone's doing well, mate. We got dude. If you're true blue boxing fans, it's been a great month for us. Especially it hasn't been headline. It started a little slow. That Times Square card put a bad taste in a lot of our mouth. And then, the Canelo fight versus Skull put a bad taste. But ever since the Inoue knockout, ever since that Ramon Cardenas Inoue fight, the fights have been crazy. There's been some great fights. Even yesterday, the Tataran Shigoka fight was intense. And then the fight in Mexico was super intense. It was a back and forth rematch with Willibaldo Garcia. That was a crazy fight. I watched that on YouTube. So a lot of these underlying fights that aren't pay-per-view or aren't on the main live stream services, you can find them on YouTube. But Mexico had a banger last night that I watched between Willibaldo and Calixco. That was a great fight. We only have Nunez odds, no Takai odds. How are they looking on? Go right now. Takai's $1.10. He was $1.07 yesterday. So a little bit of sprinkle's been coming back on the challenger. What do you think about Manuel Gallegos and Khalil Ko? I want to check those odds real quick because everyone's asking about this fight. You're the second person just on this live feed, and some of my buddies at the gym were asking that as well. Let's see what I got on the odds right now with Ko. Oh, dude, we got Bully Bekdamir fighting this weekend. Come on, dude. Against DFG. A lot of you Texan boys like DFG in that fight. Bully Bekdamir is a tough guy to fight, man. I'm doing my breakdown and prediction this week. Stay tuned. You guys will probably disagree with me who I take there. All right, right now, Khalil Ko's $1.55. 100 gets you 55 back, and Gallegos is $2.65. So 100 gets you your money plus 1. So Gallegos is not quite a 2-to-1. Cedric Walcott, I appreciate the support, man. Josh Taylor ruined our party. We can't be too upset about it. You lost one on a 14. My bad, brother. I'm upset for you on that. But made it back trading that same night. Said you're a beast. Yeah, so Josh Taylor on my featured parlay ruined it for me as well. You know, we took Nathaniel Collins, we took Terry Harper, we took Angelo Leo. We were all hitting. And then the first 4 rounds of that Taylor fight, we looked like we were at good money. And then, you know, he just faded. And, you know, hats off to Echo. But I got my money back, said, with the cheeky Czechoslovakian fight card that we covered. It was right after that. I hit a little 8-leg, not quite 2-1, but we got our money back. Yeah, Bully is a beast. I got him by decision. I love that bet, Goat. I love the money line right now on Bekdamir as well. The money line's pretty decent. Cedric, getting money. Josh has been drinking every day. I know. Joint. I mean, dude. I mean, if you're gonna sit here and say everybody picked Echo Essuman to beat Josh, you're lying. Nobody expected that. I mean, just considering what the careers have looked like up until this point. Now, if I lived with Josh and knew he was on the bags and drinking and partying during a fight camp, would I have been hesitant? Of course. But you know, a lot of that stuff's hearsay. You could say the same things about some of the greatest fighters. It's the fight game. You know, there's stories of some of the greatest champions getting hammered and still winning. So, you know, when you looked on paper at the resumes, what Essuman's done, he only had 8 stoppages. What Taylor's done, what Taylor looked like at his best, you know, it wasn't a shocking picking Taylor. You know, I was more shocked at how he faded throughout the fight. He looked good. He had moments. I think the biggest turning point in that fight, if you rewatch it, I've watched it twice, was in the 4th round. Taylor caught Essuman with a beautiful shot, shook his legs, but immediately after, Essuman got it back. And from that point on, Taylor looked different. From that point on, it was like, oh shit, Taylor thought to himself, I'm not going to be able to just one-punch this guy. And he fought too much on the ropes. He didn't move a lot. And a lot of that I felt like was his conditioning. And Essuman came to win the fight, you know? He came to win that fight. It's a lot different when you looked at the Maxie Hughes-Archie Sharp fight. When we took Hughes on this channel, Archie didn't go there to win the fight. So that was a big difference. Me too, sports bet as well. Trading is my go-to sports bet. Said, I see you on other channels. You're a beast. I listen when you speak, man. You know, I appreciate you supporting my channel and my cause as well, man. Nothing but love. Fresh BX, Tyson Fury on the piss. Yep, a lot of them. I mean, look historically. You know, historically, you could go champions list. These guys this is a blood sport, guys. These guys are savages. You know, these guys we like to think that they were like, you know, good, well postured, mother, father, family loving guys. But boxing is a history sport of savages who go in there and, you know, they're equally as devastating outside of the ring usually with their behavior. So I don't get shocked when I hear a guy like Taylor's on the piss, on the bags. I was just shocked seeing, you know, the conditioning fade as it did. And Essuman outworked him. And granted, what's Essuman's nickname? The Engine. Should have known that. It's easier to do hindsight 2020. You know, my Monday morning quarterback, we could all look back and see where we picked wrong and why things went wrong. But I was comfortable with that Taylor pick. I was more uncomfortable with my Nathaniel Collins pick and a little bit about you know, you guys were making me think Archie Sharp was going to beat Maxie Hughes. But no, not at all did I hesitate on picking Taylor versus Essuman. Was I wrong? Yes. Am I happy for Echo? Of course I am. And we move forward. We got more fights. Let's do it. Taylor can't fight on the back foot. He was pot-shotting too, mate. He wasn't putting his combos together. He was pot-shotting. He stayed on the ropes too much. Richard Torres versus Moses Atuama. Right now, I got Kiki. I think just in terms of experience right now, I'm high on the fighter out of Tulare, California, Kiki Torres. You know, do both guys have a lot of molding to do? Yeah, they're not finished products. These guys are really exciting prospects in a division that kind of just produces virality. Whenever you're a heavyweight and you're starching guys, but the boxing community they scream best in the world. They scream world title shots. But these guys are young. Both guys have a lot of holes in their game. It's just going to see, you know, how their teams and how their camp progress them forward through the ranks. And I think that's important in the sport, making the proper decisions. Torres is coming off a victory, and we just saw Moses this past weekend. So, yeah, who you got? So this week, I'll go over some of the fights I'm going to be covering on my channel. I'm definitely doing the Caleb Plant Resendez fight. These are my breakdown and analysis. These are the proper videos, guys. The Jamal Charlo Cornflake fight. I want to get to the Kyron Davis Yeno Hernandez fight. Khalil Coe, Bekmir. That's already 6 fights. MJ's fighting. We didn't even talk about that. He's fighting Luis Castillo. He's a huge favorite, though. MJ is the guy who's everybody wants Naoya Inoue to fight. And then, I've already I already uploaded the Sugar Nunez fight. I don't know if I'm going to do the Takei fight. We'll see. I might just go straight to the Bektemir. I think I'm going to do Bektemir next, edit that, upload it, and give you my analysis. But if you're new to the live stream, I live stream every day. It's your opportunity to ask about the fights. Is Nunez a lock for you, said? I think he is. I think he is, man. I'm comfortable with that Nunez. I've been watching. I like I said, if you have questions on why it's a lock, I think there's no such thing in locks in boxing, by the way. Anyone can win on any given night. Rikishi's tough. It's going to be a tough fight. But when I look at why they're there, neither guy is there because it was gifted. Granted, the IBF is vacant. It is for the title. I think this fight would have happened regardless. When I look at the pros and cons of the style, and when I look at how they go about their business, I just don't see Rikishi hurting Nunez. I love Nunez's body work. I love how he takes his opponent's sort of will, his opponent's fighting spirit out of them throughout the fight, and then he gets them out of there. And just a little bit of how Rikishi is hesitant. He'll initially exchange and trade, and he likes that, but he doesn't really like to clinch. And on his exits, too, I see him keeping his head a little bit too high. And I think that this is an example of a height advantage working against an opponent. And I think him being taller, exiting on a straight line. Now, Rikishi could go in there and knock Sugar Nunez out, and I'll be like, I was wrong. But I'm confident with the Sugar Nunez fight for sure. I predicted Raleigh to beat Garcia. Hats off to you, mate. Damn, you're going off now right now. Jamar Charlo will lose. You think Lamana is going to beat Charlo? You know what? I'm not going to say Cornflake's going to win, but I've watched Jamal train the last few weeks. If you go to his Instagram, I did comment last week on my video. I didn't like how stiff Charlo is looking in his training. He's not there's a sense of mobility that you get as a fighter, being loose, being active, sparring all the time. And Charlo was hitting the double-ended bag, and just as he was slipping, he looked real stiff to me. He didn't look loose, and I didn't like the way he looked. We know that Cornflake lives in the gym. He's a Philly guy. I don't know if Charlo's going to win. We'll see. I got to watch more tape. You predicting Ryan to beat Raleigh, hats off to you. I did not predict that. In my prediction, I said that my heart was with Raleigh. I said I'm cheering for Raleigh, but I put my money on Ryan, and I lost. GOAT, I predicted super big underdogs. I think I have a good chance of being right. I'd like to hear your reasons why you thought that Raleigh was going to beat Ryan. You saying that because of the layoff. He looked decent against Benavidez Jr. after that layoff. Yeah, but, the videos that Charlo has posted on his Instagram of him training is right now. Like, it's something about his movement and how tight he is. I don't know. There's certain things, little nuanced movement patterns fighters either have or they don't. And he's not getting any. I'm by no means am I saying Cornflake's going to beat him. It was more than anything, I noticed it. I noticed it in his movement patterns, how he looks hitting the bag. He just looked a bit stiff. And for him to, I don't know what that means. Does the best version of Thomas Lamana beat the worst version of Charlo? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm uploading that video in a couple days. You'll get my prediction. Do you think Jake Paul next fight is set up for him to win against just like Mike Tyson fight? Manny R, I appreciate you on my channel. Appreciate you commenting. I don't really cover Jake Paul. I appreciate what Jake Paul as a promoter has done for women's boxing. He just announced another huge all-female card. I used to manage a female boxer out of Sydney. I grew up with sisters, so I appreciate Jake Paul as a female boxing promoter. Do I cover him as a fighter, as a boxer? No. I don't like how he prostitutes. I don't like how people are seeing like an area of the game to make money off the sport. I don't like the whole Mike Tyson thing. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I mean, my boy from Youngstown, Ohio, 15 years ago, the pride of Ohio, Billy Lyle. Google that. Billy Lyle took Julio Cesar Chavez to a decision. I think it went the distance in Mexico. And Billy Lyle, I think, had his moments. This was 15 years ago. Billy Lyle is a Youngstown, Ohio club fighter. It's not a fight I'm putting a lot of energy towards. There's a couple decent fights on that undercard, though. So I might focus on that. Love your content, Pablo. Greetings from Chile. Appreciate you, Pablo. Appreciate the support. Wherever you're tuning in, guys, give a shout out to where you come from. We're boxing. There's no, boxing is the universal language of combat sports fans. It's been here before we were born. It'll be here after we're dead. And it's my favorite sport. And I do my best to document and promote the sport from a non partisan level. I come at it non-emotional. I don't. We talk about it all the time, guys. Some of the biggest boxing content creators are just making horrible content based off of clickbait stuff and fake news. You'll never see that here. We're here for the sport. Look at all the comments. The people who follow my channel know just as much about the sport than I do. So I appreciate you guys for that. I think Jamal had potential to be one of the best of all time. GOAT. I can't argue that. I mean, think about it. Think about the energy he had coming out to the first part of his career. Anyone remember some of the knockdowns of J-Rock? Dude, J-Rock Williams, man, that fight was a great fight. And J-Rock Williams is a talented fighter. Some of the craziest knockdowns I've seen. Yep, Chavez Jr. versus another fighter living off his daddy's name. Exactly, it's the fight game. There's nepotism everywhere. We see nepotism in Hollywood. There's nepotism at your local corporate building. You know, the guy who works for the bank because his dad was the bank manager. I guess nepotism makes the world go round. But in boxing, what did Eddie? I think it was Teddy Atlas. The ring is the greatest lie detector. Now, I used to believe that wholeheartedly. The ring is the greatest lie detector. I used to believe that wholeheartedly. But lately, with this YouTube influencer boxing, it's not always a great lie detector. These influencer matchups, these Jake Paul-esque matchups, you could lie in that ring and pretend you're somebody else. And I think we have to always look at these matchups with Jake Paul and remember that, because it's like, come on, mate. There's guys there's guys who give their whole life to this sport, who fought their whole life as kids, who never made a penny off of it, who brain damage, CTE, issues focusing, death, people die in the ring. And to see what he's done and not even acknowledge that element, to just be that arrogant, I'm selling in the fight. I don't have time for that. To K by decision, what do you think, mate? What's up, Johnny? How's your weekend, bro? Cornelius, it was good, man. I appreciate you asking. Inside the boxing, we won money. We lost a little money. Outside of boxing, I'm grateful for my life. So thank you. Hopefully yours went well as well. Israel Torres, Takai by decision. Right now, Israel, I have that decision on a parlay, a money line parlay with Sugar. Will I do a separate stoppage parlay? I'm probably going to take Sugar and Takai by stoppage. Both of those guys, it pays pretty good. The one I'm selling, though, on this channel is the money line picks. Remember that. So don't come. So if Takai wins by decision, don't come by me and say, you called a stoppage. Yellow Morris, what do you think about Oscar De La Hoya versus Cesar Chavez? Chavez was 91-1 going. Man, people sleep on how talented Oscar was. Just watch. A lot of the younger boxing fans only know Oscar as the promoter. Go watch his highlight tape. Go watch Oscar in the amateurs. Go watch him at the Olympics. Go watch his reflexes, his skills, his footwork, everything. How pretty of a fighter he was. How willing he was to get into a dogfight. Oscar De La Hoya's highlight tape is one of the best out there. Chavez Jr., that fight was 91-1's a crazy record. Two different eras. You know what I'm saying, guys? Sometimes timelines don't match up. Boxing is smoke and mirrors, period. Politics play a huge part. Fresh BX, you know your stuff. Kyron Davis fighting Benavidez on 168 was a brave act. Size difference was massive. Yeah, Benavidez is a beast. Israel, I appreciate you. Oscar versus Bazooka. Bernard Hopkins in the house. Will Bona, I think Yeno does a similar job. Yeah, Yeno Hernandez. Well, he's fighting this weekend too. It's a fight I want to cover. Yeah, Yeno Hernandez, people aren't sleeping. He's a big favorite here. Kyron Davis, 3-1 dog on my book. I'd like to know what you guys, the odds you're getting on that. And Yenli's a great fighter. That's a tough matchup for Kyron Davis. I'm gonna watch some tape on his camp. Those guys are active on social media. I wonder what Kyron Davis's camp is saying about this matchup. But we'll see. It's a very tough fight. Pablo B was like a weak nose. One of my favorite in recent years. Kyron's also fighting out of Delaware, which is my hometown. DE, Delaware. Cedric, I thought Oscar beat Floyd. I'd have to rewatch it. I'm glad that they fought. Man, Oscar's so talented. Like, he does things. When Oscar was in his prime, in terms of when I say he did things in the fight that you don't ever see. Reaction time, combinations, his movement pattern. Man, fun to watch. They call him the Golden Boy for a reason. He ticked all the boxes. Hope everyone's having a great... John Magana, I appreciate you. What's the biggest boxing fight you have been to? Biggest fight I've ever been to live. I was 4th row for Kelly Pavlik versus Jermaine Taylor 1 in Atlantic City. I grew up with Kelly. You guys are fans of my channel. You know that. Everyone always asks. He's a childhood friend of mine from the baseball field. I still talk to him daily. Not daily. I still talk to him. That's a Kelly Pavlik magazine right there. I could call Kelly right now. He's like a brother to me. So I was ringside. I'll never forget when Jermaine dropped him early. And first time we ever seen Kelly on wobbly legs. Jermaine goes for the kill. You have to remember, Jermaine Taylor was a world champion. I think at the time he was 26-0, and he was supposed to win that fight. Pavlik was a 4-1 dog. Atlantic City, the Boardwalk, and Kelly knocked him out and changed the trajectory of both guys' careers. But before that fight, it was also Kelly Pavlik. I was ringside to Max Zertuche in Disneyland out in Anaheim at the Pond. Zertuche was also, that was a 50-50 fight. And the winner of the Zertuche fight was going to fight Edson Miranda. People forget Edson Miranda was a goddamn nightmare knockout artist. Pavlik knocked Zertuche out. Pavlik knocked Miranda out. Pavlik got the Taylor fight and knocked Taylor out. And further, cemented his legacy as one of the greatest middleweights, in my opinion. 40-2. I think he retired 40-2, 34 knockouts. His only 2 losses, Bernard Hopkins, Sergio Martinez. And Pavlik, when you talk about a skill set or a tool set that was so basic and simple, that did so much with it, God, he just threw straight punches with a chin of steel. No one talks about that, and his knockout power. That dude was a nightmare at 160. And maybe I'm a little biased. One of the best comebacks. Kelly was a dog. Does anyone remember Pactards and Rambler, you out here wild. Canelo versus Crawford. Who you got? I train Crawford, Jimmy Hair Collar. Oh, you train there? It's hard. I talked to Bomac. Bomac follows this channel. He also follows my Facebook group, Boxing News Today. I'm going to do my prediction. I've been, ever since that fight got signed, Canelo Crawford, it's been in the back of my head. Like, how am I going to break this down? Because I'm a huge fan of both guys' careers. I love what Crawford's done. I love how, he was overlooked his entire career. And then later on, you could call it a harvest summer. They call it an Indian summer in America when summers last longer than normally. Think about what Anthony Cacace's done to his career, not to the extent of Bud, but a fighter who later on, early 30s, mid-30s, finally reaches that pinnacle of their potential, of their international stardom. That's Bud Crawford. How he goes about his business, what he does on both sides of the plate, champion at 35, 40, 47, 54. Canelo, everything he's done, you could literally say the same thing about him. I have nothing bad to say about this fight. I know the haters will come out and talk about that this fight shouldn't happen. One guy ducked this guy doesn't deserve this fight. I'm excited to break it down. I'm just happy to be part of a boxing timeline that we get to see that fight. Marquez, Juan Diaz as a kid. Nice fight, high pace. That's a great fight, man. Juan Manuel Marquez. There's rumors that he wants to fight again. First pay-per-view I ever saw, Taylor versus Winky. What a fight. They fought to a draw. And Meech, this is why styles make fights. Look what Jermaine did against B-Hop, and then look what B-Hop did against Pavlik. Styles make fights. B-Hop, nice fight, John. What great fight to see. Damn, that's it. Winky Wright, man. We forget about Winky Wright. Winky Wright is a legend. What a fun style. Canelo wins. There'll be more motivation not to let 154 beat him. And Jitterbug, some aren't even calling Bud a 154. He only fought Majimov at 54. If anything, you would say a 147. Agreed, Jitterbug. Who Dark Horse at 1? I love 130, Trey. Dark Horse at 130. I mean, it's, we talked about the champions earlier. We talked about O'Shaquie Foster. We talked about Emmanuel Navarrete. Lamont Roach, if he comes back down. But you got to say Sugar. If Sugar Nunez wins this fight, and if he stops Rakiishi, he's 28-1 with 28 knockouts. No one wants to fight him. And there's a lot of good guys at 130. Jake Paul deserves to be in boxing if he fights any top 5 cruiserweight. Yeah, that word deserves is interesting to me in the sport. Tell Crawford I said, why are you trying to fight a PD user if he's a clean fighter? Popularity contest. Ray Ford. Oh, Ray, big up on Ray Ford. I like what Ray Ford, I like the adjustment, Trey, I like the adjustments Ford has made in his career, even at such a young age, in terms of his fight style, in terms of how his game planning now, how he fights, a lot different to how he fought a couple years ago. Hats off to Ray Ford. People tune in to watch him fight. Bud will outclass Canelo. Can you see Fabio losing this next fight? Fabio Wardley. Dude, he's fighting Justice Huni, a tough Aussie. That's a fight no one's talking about. I'll get to that fight more in depth. People are really high on Justice Huni here in Australia. Nobody beats Ford at 130. Yeah, Ford is a... I think we just covered that fight. He fought the Gunner Man. Ray Ford fought the kid from Cleveland, Ohio, the Gunner Man. We covered that fight on the channel. And Ford did what we thought he was going to do. Who you got, Norman versus... I'm real big on Brian Norman Jr. Sasaki is going to be a tough fight. Hats off to Brian Norman Jr.'s camp. His dad follows the channel. He'll be in our comments all the time. For them to take that fight, go overseas to fight Sasaki with that belt, mate, that's a tough fight. Will be a big statement for Japan if they win at these weights. I agree. Andy Hiroka, good fight against, like you said, that division's a fun division. Thanks for your breakdown. Rich Blackman, I appreciate you. Where you guys tuning in at, guys? I grew up in Northeast Ohio, but I live in Sydney, Australia. The longer you've been on part of the channel, you'll know that. Fabio's a tough fight to him. John McGunn, I agree. I want to see Inoue versus Lamont at 130. Well, Inoue, don't you want to see Inoue go to 126 first? You know, Inoue's been at 22. He's been flirting that 126 fight. I think we want to see Junto Nakatani at 22 versus Inoue first. Before Inoue leaves 22, I want to see him fight Junto because that fight excites me. Nakatani is a dog, and he trains in America. RBG, Robert Garcia. What do you think about Diego Pacheco? We covered Diego. He's coming off that victory against Bud Crawford's guy, against Steven Nelson. And that was a close fight. Steven Nelson made it a lot closer the later that fight went. Pacheco's not a finished product. People are up on him because of his youth, his size, his physical attributes. I think as he learned, Steven Nelson taught him a lot in that fight. Even though Nelson lost, watch that fight. Those last few rounds, Nelson was coming on. And if we were in the old days of 15-round fights, boy, that fight could have gone a different way. I got Junto, by the way. If Inoue wins, he is elite. Nakatani and Bam Rodriguez are two of my favorite fighters in the world at this moment of any weight classes, even though they're lighter. Shout out Ohio, Lake County. Yep, I grew up in Mahoning County. Juno should be favored after this fight. He favors him. What's up, brother? Wins your next big leg parlay. Kicks. Carlos, it's not a big parlay, Carlos, but this Wednesday, I got a 2-leg working in Japan with the Sugar Nunez fight and the Takai fight. So I'm taking both guys to win. Bernard Hopkins, Inoue, Junto will be an all-time classic. Japan boxing. Are they talking about the Japanese boxers in America, guys? Let me know about that. Because down here in Australia, because the Sam Goodman fight falling through with Inoue, there's not a lot of influencers doing what I'm doing down here in Australia, but the mainstream media, the promotional company, No Limit, they're always talking about the Japanese fighters. I wonder if they're getting love in America. I'd like to know. Junto versus Bam is a good match. Yep, see, that's the thing. Bam would have to come up to 18. Junto would have to stay there. But I'd rather see Junto just because of what Inoue has done. When you look at the top level legacy so far, if you go Bam versus Junto, I don't think Junto has gotten there yet. He's in terms of his legacy. But when you go Inoue versus Junto, Inoue's legacy, I want to see that fight first. From the UK, living in Boston. Will, cheers to you. Boston's a great city. It was a great city. I went to college in Pittsburgh. We used to go to Boston all the time. Yeah, I think Bam Junto more intriguing than Inoue. I could see that. Denver, Colorado, high altitude, great training in Denver. That's why they go to the mountains, Colorado Springs. Salute, cheers, go. Mainly Inoue and Nakatani, they're mainstream in U.S. That's great to hear. Mainstream in U.S. boxing. Just because they're fight styles. We need more boxing channels talking about those fight styles. It was crazy to see when Ramon Cardenas dropped Inoue, and then, we know how the fight played out. All of these, mainstream American boxing influencers, Inoue was exposed. Inoue got dropped. He's been dropped before. Louis Neary, we know how Inoue drops. He didn't get exposed. He's a soldier. He's gone out on his shield. If anything, and you know where I stand on this, Inoue has a chin. When you get dropped and you come back to knock your guy out, you're not chinny. You have a chin. That's called being a dog. That's called putting yourself in the firefight. He has some defensive holes, and Cardenas talked about the game plan for it. And Cardenas surprised people. Whenever you knock a guy out and your opponent's stock goes up, you know you're a dog. That's all I'm saying. Because we all want to see Ramon Cardenas fight again too now because of that fight. The small weight classes were always great. I hope they get more recognition. But I do my best here to promote the smaller guys. Parlay Nunez, CK round 863, Izzy Torres. Look at that. Good luck on that. That's something to think about, guys. Israel Torres might be onto something, considering how they both go about their business. You do film study who you watch right now. So, Trey, the film study I do is I just watch old fights. I just watched the Sugar Nunez, his last few fights, and I just watched Rakishi's, and I just uploaded my film study. So I don't watch content creators. I just watch old fights. I'm a boxing nerd. I'm an old head. Like I said, I just turned 43. Started boxing as a 7-year-old. I still train. I still coach. So I don't watch content creators. You guys tell me about content creators. You guys will always, have you seen what so-and-so said? And I go to their channel and he has 400,000 subs and he's just a clown. I was like, what boxing fans are watching this guy? So I like watching old fights, even the old golden era. Like my favorite fighter, Homicide Hank, Henry Armstrong. If you don't know who that is, YouTube Henry Armstrong's highlights. That dude was one of my favorite guys to watch of all time. Anyways, a dog, what's up, GOAT? Salute. Muscle Brown in the house making a little bit of a note. Muscle, how'd it go this weekend? Josh ruined a lot of our parlays. Hopefully you avoided the Taylor fight. got hot takes, but I won't say them as of now. Goat, I got hot. Rich Blackman, everyone in the chat, please like the live. Rich, I appreciate you. The one hot take you wouldn't believe yet. I'd love to hear them. Yeah, Joink has been going. You know, he said he picked the Rolly fight over Ryan, and he's claiming some huge upsets coming up. He claims that Lamana beats Charlo, which is interesting. First guy that I've heard to say that Cornflake beats Charlo. I'd love to hear them. You have a little bit of Polish surname. Yeah, my dad was from Prague. So my dad is passed away when I was in my 20s, but my dad was from Czechoslovakia. So my last name's Slavic, but my mother's family's from Italy. So I'm Czech and Italian, but raised in America. I just watched Carl Frampton versus Leo Santa Cruz, I think, Trey, overall is underrated. Wasn't Leo 4-weight world champion? 3-weight world champion? Leo Santa Cruz, which kind of, in my opinion, still, you know, you guys called me out on it before. I think that's Tank's best win. Has to be, right? Johnny, you got any hot takes in fantasy fights? I kind of avoid the fantasy stuff, mate. I kind of, if anything, I like talking about fights that never happened. I would have loved to see Kelly Pavlik versus Andre Ward, and I would have loved to see Kelly Pavlik versus Paul Williams. Both of those fights were signed. Both of those fights had press conferences, and both fights fell through. But Pavlik versus Ward would have been great. But the Punisher, Pavlik versus Paul Williams, man, god damn. To think those guys never fought, man, that still that bums me out to this day. Koki, most content creators are YouTube boxing or agenda-based or run a gimmick. I appreciate this channel. It's just truly boxing. Johnny's channel, all business like boxing, under body work. Appreciate you, Koki. Appreciate the support, guys. Muscle Brown in the house. The boys coming over from 3D Boxing. I appreciate you guys. I do watch 3D, though. When I'm breaking fights down, I like, from a betting perspective, when I'm thinking about where the majority of online YouTube bettors are putting their money, I'll tune into Gary at 3D Boxing to see where he, you know, his initiative. He's an OG in the game, and he has a good mind for, like, where the money's going. So if you guys aren't following him, go to Gary's channel. I know some of you guys have floated over here, and I appreciate that. Armando Rosado, salute from Puerto Rico. Salute to you too, Armando Rosado. I appreciate everyone like this channel or like this video so we could keep getting it popping. And I've been doing lives every day for about a week and a half. I didn't realize we had such a boxing community. Angelo Leo looks good, but still needs to tighten up his guard and defense. David Moreno, you're right. We picked Leo to win on this channel, and he's not a finished product either. And it's something that I think I have to do my part. You guys do your part when you're, you know, breaking down the sport of boxing. Just because guys are fighting main events, just because guys are undefeated, just because guys are champions, that doesn't mean they're finished products. Usually you get to that finished product era in your development, probably by 30. But even with heavyweights, it's a bit later. In the lighter weight classes, by 30, they're finished products. But in the heavier guys, you know, it takes a while for them to look their best, or at least to clean up these holes in their game. Some guys do it, some guys never do. I think that's the difference between Hall of Fame guys, all-time greats, and just champions, are as they progress through their career, the ones who still have the humility to work on their game. Some guys are like, you know, it's one of the frustrating things for me as a Rolly Romero fan, even though Rolly beat Ryan, I'm a big Rolly guy, even though I picked Ryan to win. He's still young enough to fix some of these flaws in his game, and he frustrates me to a sense, because you see his style, and he's kind of, you just think that he's a finished product. You know, and a lot of that just comes down to what they're doing in the gym. And you know, I'm not judging anyone for that, but it's something to think about. Carlos Vargas, I appreciate you supporting this channel. I appreciate you helping me out with your commenting, your opinions, and the monetary gains, man. I appreciate you. Thanks, brother. Your channel's legit. I fought amateur 2-1, but then started smoking weed. Couldn't keep up with conditioning. It's nice to see you real insight. Carlos, yeah, you know, I trained my whole life. Like I said, I'm 43. I started boxing as a kid when I was 7 in Youngstown, and stopped doing organized boxing as a 15-year-old, but I played baseball, football, and basketball up until college, played baseball there, and I picked boxing up again as a 32-year-old. I still spar, and the conditioning's everything. Guys, if you've never sparred before, if you've never trained before, the worst place ever to be in either a spar or a fight is when you run out of gas. It's the most lost, hopeless, helpless feeling is when you're in a fight and you got no gas. I'd rather get knocked out. That sounds crazy. I'd rather get headshot, knocked out, than get played around with a guy who's just playing with me because I got no cardio, no Diddy. Matias one-dimensional, no way. 43 Trey, I'm 43, man, born 1982. Matias is a one-dimensional fighter, horrible footwork. Yeah, Matias, good right hand, horrible feet. I love Puello in that fight. Puello's a great boxer. I missed some of this. Pero also had to go through hell. Puello showed me all I needed to see against Gary. And then, you know, in terms of how he can move, he was losing the early fight against Gary and then ended up winning those later rounds with his movement. Very slick southpaw. Very slick. Alberto Puello could box. Running out of gas is insanely scary. GOAT 100. Hope you guys here on July 12th. Koki, we're going to be here. Trust me the way I saw Puello counter Russell. Yes, joint. I'm high on Puello, man. I tried to tell people about if you love the art of boxing, what Puello does, and he's still under the radar, mate. You know, we got at 140. You know, Gary's a champ, Puello's a champ. Hitchens is fighting Kambosos, and Teo. You know, that division, sometimes people will call 140 like an elevator division because guys will, you know, either go from 47 to 40 or 35 to 40. But there's that 7-pound gap from 40 to 47. I think Puello, with his style, his height, his range, is a nightmare for any 140. I can't wait for the Canelo Crawford same. I can't wait for that fight. Matias' feet are horrible, but if he lands, Trey, true. Matias has that power, but it's boxing, right? You know, when I think about Matias' losses, what Pero did to him, like you guys already talked about, what Puello did to Gary, and then you put Gary and Pero, Liam Pero, you know, I put Antoine Russell way over Liam Pero in terms of overall boxing acumen. So I don't see Matias, unless Matias miraculously learned to cut the ring off, hide his backhand, set the jab up, and slow Puello down. Because Matias is going to have to, you know, does he think he's going to win rounds against Puello? That's crazy. I don't think that's going to happen. So he's going to have to stop Puello. How are you going to do that? Puello got outboxed. But Rocky, we talk about Sandor Martin. Sandor Martin is one of the best boxers out there that no one talks about because he has so many close rounds. He doesn't do enough to win these rounds, and he gets screwed on some decisions. I mean, you could look at his losses. You're right. The Puello loss, the very close fight. Look at his box rec. It's not off the top of my head, but I'm high on Sandor Martin. He just doesn't have that extra gear. Some fighters are able to click into this extra gear. Is Sandor Martin a world-class boxer? 100%, dude. Sandor Martin is a tough puzzle for anybody to solve. It's just in those close fights at the world-class level, he always just seems to not do enough to get the nod. He frustrates me to watch, actually. Yeah, Sandor Martin against Teo, perfect example. Martin is frustrating to watch. From a boxing purist, he does all those things really well. It's when you look at like how they're scoring the rounds, it's like, come on, dude, do a little bit more, do a little bit more. And he just, I think he's underrated too. If I had a guy coming up, he's a tough guy to prep for too. I see Canelo coming with heavy uppercuts to Crawford's body starting from round 1. How many of you guys think that Canelo was holding back against Skull? How many of you guys think that? We're not doing a conspiracy. Could that have been the case that Canelo wanted to save a little bit of what he was going to do and not show everything against Skull? Or could Canelo really not cut the ring off? That's all. Those are the only things you have to answer. Was Skull really that good of a mover that Canelo couldn't cut the ring off? Or did Canelo not want to cut the ring off? I don't know. That fight is a big question mark in my head. What's up, Chaz? Matias money fight should be for his Pitbull Cruz. I mean, he's getting a world title fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, so people thought Matias, after he lost his title to Pero, that was it, just because of his one-dimensional fight style. But he's getting a world title fight. I mean, that's Pitbull Cruz isn't a world champ. I remember when Sandor beat Garcia, was insane when he won. Yes, dude, his odds are always crazy. I picked Puello to beat him, and I was sweating when that announcement was being read out. I'm not gonna lie. Sandor and Jermaine too. I covered every time Jermaine Ortiz fights on this channel, I cover his fights. I'm a big Jermaine Ortiz fan. He's another one of these guys, young, skilled, talented, great boxer, just needs to turn it up a little bit more. In his last fight, he turned it up a bit more. I like what I'm seeing. Jermaine Ortiz, people sleep on. I feel like he couldn't cut the ring off. Exactly. They say Canelo can't. That's wrong. Skull was so shocked. You got a good point. Rudy, what's up, Rudy Pedroza? Appreciate you. Currently, Canelo's an entrepreneur who likes boxing twice a year. He's done everything, right? I mean, you're flying in private jets. It's what Marvin Hagler said. It's hard to get excited about fighting when you're sleeping in silk sheets. So Marvin Hagler, as his career was developing and he started getting wealthy from the sport, he purposefully would make his fight camps miserable. Purposefully. He's famous for that. I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know, but if you didn't, Marvin Hagler was aware of that, and he devoted his life to, he was such a student of the game that he made his camps miserable because of this. I just want Canelo to retire already. I'm sick of what he gets away with. Yeah, that's the politics of boxing, mate. But, you know, there's still money to be when you fight Canelo. That's that. I had skull winning, to be honest. I felt like Canelo needed a knockout, but was that just me? Join, man, those rounds were really hard to score. If you watch that Skull versus Canelo fight and try to put the thinking cap on like it's a club level fight, like in Australia they call them RSL fights. If it was an RSL fight at the club level, I mean, what was Canelo doing to win the fight? You know what I'm saying? If it was, you know, so-and-so versus so-and-so at the club level, there weren't a lot, obviously there wasn't a lot of action. You guys know how that fight went down. My favorite thing about that fight, without sounding like a hater, was William Skull's shoes. That he wore gold shoes, and every time he was circling away from Canelo, gold dust was falling into the canvas. I don't know if anybody noticed that. That was my favorite thing about the fight. I'm a shoe guy. Rocky Austin, Saudi is not neutral. Turkey has already shown that. Yeah, fresh BX. Think about Shiraz versus Adames. Thank God, though, they didn't take Carlos's belt. Carlos beat that man up, broke him. I thought, and people were asking me about Shiraz versus Berlanga. Watch Shiraz's body language against Adames the mid to late rounds. Psychologically, he changed. And for them to say that that fight ended in a draw, the best saving grace of that is that Adames didn't lose his belt because they wanted that belt to go to Hamza Shiraz. But it was, I'm just glad, I'm fortunate that didn't happen. What are your thoughts on Manuel Gallegos versus Co? Torres, we were talking about that fight earlier. Gallegos is the underdog right now, but I think that's a live dog. I like the odds right now. I'm going to break down that fight later in the week. It's Monday my time. It's only Sunday where you boys are. So hats off to you guys. You guys have a full week. It's Monday afternoon. It's Monday 11 a.m. where I'm from. In 2 days, we got the world title fight in Japan. So my head's strictly focused on Sugar Nunez versus Rakiishi in terms of where my money's at. After that fight, we're going to start building our parlay for the rest of these fight cards throughout the weekend. Shakur's my favorite style. I'm a big Shakur Stevenson fan. I think Canelo feels more comfy in a golf course. I had money on Big Baby Ruiz. Got robbed. Shiraz versus Turkey. Yeah, Shiraz and Turkey. Big Baby won that. Shakur so technically sound good. It's going to look more. Trey, I love Shakur. Shakur's another one of these guys. When we talked about Oscar earlier in the live stream, Shakur does things in the fight that unless you train, unless you've been in a fight, unless you know what countering is, the timing of everything. How the timing of everything has to be almost, there's a predictability about it, a nuanced, intuitive nature about what Shakur does. Not to mention, he's facing another man who's trying to knock him out. So when you play into the consideration that you have a guy who's trying to knock you out, and then you have a guy in Shakur who could neutralize the guy trying to knock him out with his movement patterns, with his feints, with his defense, with his speed, with his reflexes, man, watch him while he's here. Now, is he going to knock everyone out? No. If you want to see from a, like we talked about, instinctual level, man, Shakur's fun. You know, and I think Zepeda is going to bring the best out of him. I'm big on William Zepeda. Now, you know, doesn't have one-punch knockout power. William Zepeda, his volume is insane. Zepeda could fight that way for 30 rounds. Shakur, he said on his Instagram he's not going to move that much. We'll see. I think Shakur, a lot of the issues with his hands have changed his ability psychologically to sit on some of his punches. There's nothing that, you know, if I were to critique Shakur's game, yeah, sit down on your punches more. But if that's at the risk of him, you know, not having the confidence due to his hand injuries all the time, how many fights have Shakur fought with bad hands? No one talks about that. How many fights would the average fighter have pulled out? But he didn't because he had bad hands. And to think that he has a defensive arsenal or the skill set to still win fights at the world-class level, that's how I look at Shakur. And I'm really excited about the Zepeda fight. I got Zepeda by decision. Zepeda's pace is ridiculous, dude. Watch William Zepeda fight is insane. I see another YouTuber say Shakur not athletic. They said Shakur's not athletic. Mate, see, anyone who would say that doesn't train for a living. The more you work out, the more you move your body, and you see other people who do that, you give props to. Zepeda has P&D in his gearbox, not enough tools. Not enough pop, I think. Yeah. So Shakur's knockouts come by drowning and volume. It doesn't have that one-punch knockout power. I think Shakur could back up Zepeda. Shakur, best bet to get Zepeda off him, catch him off guard, catch and countering too. Trust me, Zepeda will really make Stevenson. That's what I'm saying, Joink. That's why I love that fight. He will. Zepeda's skilled. Zepeda, world champion level. El Camarón. Hopefully, Co get it done this time. Yes, I swear. What do you think about Nunez by knockout? Jacob, yeah, right now I got Sugar on the money line. And on a separate bet, my main bet where I guide my channel, the money line picks, Sugar, Nunez by money line. A side bet that I'm going to do that I'll post in the post section, I'm going to take Nunez by knockout. 27 wins, 27 knockouts. Statistically speaking, on a separate ticket, I'm taking Nunez and Takei to win by stoppage. My guarantee, though, is Nunez and Takei money line. Haney drop Prograis. Doesn't have Zepeda's style. Yeah, that was a weird fight. That Regis fight. That was a weird fight. Are you serious? Rocky started having fights in Saudi. Shakur sharp punch with hurt hands. Yeah, his precision, mate. When you see the angles Shakur punches at, he has no fat on anything. Everything Shakur does is like pressing a button on a video game. Everything is just, there's no fat anywhere. Even on his head movement, his side, his angles, everything. And that just comes down to a lifetime of training. You can see videos of Shakur as a 3-year-old in the gym. I think it was either his grandpa or his uncle. Forgive me if I mess this up. But in New Jersey, as a little kid, 3, 4 years old, he's in the gym, just being in the gym. You could see it in his movement patterns. You can't train what he does overnight. That is a lifetime devoted to the game. And all these haters or people talk trash about him being a mover or judging him on how he is on social media and then trying to talk about his fight style. No one talks about the devotion to the game. Like, he's devoted his entire life to let YouTube creators critique him. What the hell? Like, how? So for a YouTube content creator or for an analyst who have never fought to talk trash, this is why I was really pissed off at Jim Lampley. Lampley, who is a great announcer, we love Lampley. He's a hero to the game. He did the Arturo Gatti, Mickey Ward historical breakdown. But for Lampley to talk that much shit against Devin Haney in Times Square after Haney's coming off the Garcia fight and talking about, rather than talking about Haney's game plan being a mover, Lampley didn't talk about Haney bringing in Nathan Jones, 96 bronze medalist from the American Olympic team in Atlanta, who's a defensive heavyweight specialist. Lampley didn't talk about that game plan was put together by Nathan Jones, an American Olympian, to circle away from a former world champion's power, Jose Ramirez, who on paper we know what Ramirez wants to do. And for him to be that negative to the people watching, when we know as fans, a lot of these fans watching are casuals, to then hear that from a guy like Lampley, who the casuals are looking at as like a leader, I thought that was bad for the sport. I'm not even a Haney fan. I'm not a Haney fan. I'm a boxing fan. I thought that was bad for the sport. So back to Shakur, what I was saying, these guys devoted their life to the game. So you see how they move, you see what they do, you got to tip your hat to it. End of rant. Zepeda is another version of Triple G. Triple G, though, I don't think Zepeda, you can compare the power to Triple G. Joint, give me your comparison how Zepeda is like Triple G. Haney is boring, bro, can't defend that, and his dad is a clown. I get all that you're saying. All those, that stuff, I'm not arguing. I think Safi would be tougher for Bam. Cafu could fight. Yeah, Cafu, Bam's next opponent, he could scrap. I think I like Haney and Mayweather, very similar styles. Yeah, I like Zepeda, but I think Shakur can make him look basic. I think so. These narratives are why I'm excited to see because if we know what Zepeda wants to do, we know what Shakur wants to do, we know what Shakur says, what he's going to do. Those are the three narratives. Zepeda has it his way. He's going to put Shakur in a phone booth, pressure him, and make him fight him. And Zepeda thinks he's going to be there after the fight. Zepeda, not Triple G. Yeah, I don't see that. You'd have to sell me on Zepeda and Triple G. Come on, I thought you were going to say Triple G and like Hagler or Triple G and Kelly Pavlik. But Triple G and Zepeda, I don't get that one. The American run jabbing style is horrible for the sport. Can't show that to the casual fans worth buying it. See, I'm not arguing with that either, David. Yeah, comparing Zepeda to Triple G is honestly a horrible comparison. James, Tank is a male. James, you know I call Sugar Tank. If you call yourself a true boxing fan, your favorite fighter is Sandy, then there's something wrong with your brain, Rocky Austin. Yeah, I was defending the sport. Yeah, I was defending I think the announcers on every level, they have a duty to kind of keep the integrity of what the fight fan is seeing. It's why, the famous clip went viral in the early days of the internet by Floyd Sr. Most of you guys don't know shit about boxing. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about what's happening in the ring, the nuance, the fight within the fight, the mind games, the traps that are being set up, the feints, the body movements, the making you think I'm going to be in one position and I'm not going to be. Throwing a punch is a fake and letting you think I'm really throwing it from that angle and then angling off and throwing it at a different angle. Changing speeds on things. All of that is the announcer's duty to explain to the fan, but you don't see a lot of that anymore. A lot of it, and now you see in how they recklessly talk about fighters is ridiculous. So I do my best not to do that here. I do my best to educate, and by no means do I know everything about the sport. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys I'm an expert. I think experts don't need to learn. I'm always a student of the game, and it's why I train. It's why I coach it. It's why I spar. Like I'm not sparring guys trying to hurt me, but every Saturday, I sparred for years. It's like, not sure I agree. Triple G all-time great. It's tough to say he's not. I mean, you got Triple G is a dog, man. Look at his chin. Look how he fought. Even some of those draw, I thought he beat Canelo. Controversial. I don't think it should be that controversial. It's like magic when the best fight the best and full potential comes out. Zepeda. Yeah, Joing, I agree. What do you think about Sergio Moore's commentary? He sometimes gets lazy. I like Sergio. I got respect to, he's a fighter, former, I think Sergio's coming at it from at least Sergio's coming at it when I watch him do fights live, he's coming at it from an analytical perspective. I think the sport needs that. I think we should have more fighters as judges too. Could you imagine? You had one of these clown YouTubers saying that there should be a rule change in boxing if the fighter moves too much. No, the rule changes in boxing need to be in the judging. I think the rule change in boxing should be judges should have to be fighters so you know what's going on. How could you judge a sport, an outcome of a guy's career? A lot of times, some of these fighters will only get one opportunity to have a fight of his career. And sometimes we see the judges getting it wrong for whatever reason or another. I'd like to think that it's because the judge is scoring it without having a commission or somebody behind them saying, no, give it to this guy. I'd like to think it was the judge being in the wrong. But how could you have judges who've never fought, who have no idea what front foot placement is, have no idea what a trap is, have no idea what circling out, circling, timing, range, the levels. They don't even know anything, but you're picking them to say 10-9? That is the thing that needs to be changed. Not some YouTuber saying that, oh, if you run, you get a point deducted. You have no idea what you're talking about. Goat, you educated me on this guy. Trey, facts. Triple G, dominate Canelo. Guys, we're an hour into this live stream. It's 11 a.m. I got to eat. I got to power lift. I got a client in my house. Stay tuned to the channel all week. I do live streams every day, wherever you are. I say thank you to all the commentators. You guys are teaching me. Like this video. If you haven't caught my breakdown and analysis and prediction of the Sugar Nunez versus Rakiishi fight, that's on the channel. Stay tuned all week. We got a lot of fights. We got a lot of money to make. Let's get into this. Bang. Let's go.